Hello and welcome back to English with Archie. Nice to see you again. Today we're going to look at 20 common English mistakes together in this video. And some of these mistakes are even made by native speakers. Yes, English can be pretty difficult, so don't worry, of course, if you make these mistakes, because even we do sometimes. So I'm going to show you an incorrect sentence, talk about that mistake, and then show you the correct sentence so you can really get it into your head. Let's get started with our first mistake. Number one is less and fewer. This is a classic, and even many native English speakers will make this mistake. I have to say that I'm guilty of making this mistake myself. So let's look at this sentence. There are less eggs in that box. This sentence is incorrect. Though you'll hear it quite a lot in the UK because, as I say, lots of native speakers will make this mistake too. But when we have a countable noun like eggs, we should use fewer. There are fewer eggs in that box. That is the correct sentence. We use less for uncountable nouns, also sometimes called mass nouns. For example, liquids, like water or milk, or sugar or flour or bread. So quite a lot of food ingredients are uncountable nouns. But even luggage or paper. Now here are two sentences. Which one of these is correct? Is it, there were less people at the party than last time, or there were fewer people at the party than last time? Here, because we've got a countable noun, people, we can count them. One person, two people, three people. So in this case, we need to use fewer. That is the correct sentence. However, you will hear, if you come to the UK, lots of native British speakers make this mistake, as I say, and many people will say there were less people, though technically it's not correct. The next one is look forward to. So here's a sentence. At the weekend, I look forward to relax. So this is a very common error. We need to follow look forward to with a gerund. That's the noun form of a verb, and it always ends in ing, so basically an ing verb. I look forward to relaxing. Or, I look forward to going to the party. I look forward to seeing my friends. So now you'll know this one for next time. Thanks God! This is a very common mistake in English. We need to put thank God. We never say thanks God. So in this sentence, there was a car crash, but thank God no one was hurt. We need thank God and not thanks God. This is a bit confusing because when we say thank you to another person, we usually say thanks. But when we use this expression, it's always thank with no S. Very similar to thank the Lord or thank heavens. These are also quite common expressions. So our next mistake is and an. Now, the rules for this sound quite simple, right? We usually use but if the word starts with a vowel, then we use an. However, there are a couple exceptions. Let's look at this sentence. I'm free in an hour. Here, we need to put an, because the word hour starts with an H, but it's a silent H. We don't say it, we don't hear it. Therefore, it's like the word starts with a vowel. So we say an hour. We always say an hour. What about this one? I want to go to an university near my hometown. So again, this is another exception. We should say I want to go to a university near my hometown. University starts with a vowel, U, but it has this U sound, which makes us think of Y, which is a consonant. Therefore, we say I want to go to a university. The same happens with the word uniform. We say, he has a uniform. Number 5. This is about the use of me and I, and this is another one where many native speakers make mistakes. I even admit to making a few mistakes here myself. Here's a sentence. Me and my sister are going to the beach. So here we should say, my sister and I are going to the beach. Because my sister and I are the subject. And what do we use for a subject? We use I, not me. We also put my sister at the beginning, and that's because it's polite to mention someone else before you. Here are 2 sentences. Which one's correct? My friend and I are meeting up later. My friend and me are meeting up later. Here, my friend and I are meeting up later. Because again, my friend and I, we are the subject of the sentence. What about, can you show Tom and I how to do it? Can you show Tom and me how to do it? Here, the correct one is, can you show Tom and me how to do it? So here, Tom and me, we are the object of the sentence, we're not the subject. Now, a nice trick is to take away Tom and just use the I or me. Can you show I how to do it? It doesn't sound right, does it? Can you show me how to do it? So now we know, can you show Tom and me how to do it? Our next one is about the word prefer versus would prefer or would rather. So here's a sentence. As it's cold, I prefer to stay at home. So this is wrong. We want to say, as it's cold, I would prefer to stay at home. So we use would prefer when talking about a specific occasion. So I'm saying, as it's cold right now, I would prefer right now to stay at home. We can use I prefer when we're talking about a general situation, like when it's cold, I prefer to stay at home. Look here again. I'd prefer to have a light dinner as I have to go to bed early. So here we're talking about this one occasion right now, so we say I'd prefer. And we can also use I'd rather as well. And the second sentence, I prefer to eat a light dinner when I have to go to bed early. So here we're talking about all the times that I have to go to bed early and what I do and what I prefer then. Our next one is the preposition on with a day. As you know, if I want to say a day and when I do something, we use on. On Friday, on Tuesday, on Wednesday, etc. However, when we introduce next or last, then we don't need to use on. So look at this sentence. Are you coming to the party on next Saturday? Here we should say, are you coming to the party next Saturday? So when we introduce this word next, we just take away on. We don't need it anymore. And it sounds a bit weird with it on next Saturday. And the same thing happens with last as well. If you introduce last before the day, then you don't need to use on, just get rid of it. Like, last Friday I saw my friend. So there, no need for on. And that's easier, isn't it? We can get rid of words for once. Instead of introducing more and more, we can just get rid of some, that feels better. Last Friday I saw my friend. Our next one is would, should, could, of versus would, should, could, have. So here's a sentence. I would have called you. I would have called you. Now, to me, this sounds okay, doesn't it? If I heard someone saying this, I wouldn't complain. I would think, that sounds alright. However, if I saw it written, then I would realise that there's a mistake. Now, because I would of sounds so similar to I would have, this mistake has started to appear in the English language. But the correct sentence is I would have called you. So when we're speaking, you can get away with it because you can't really hear much difference. I would have. However, when we're writing, this mistake becomes a lot more obvious and a lot more, maybe serious is a bit of a strong word, but in an exam it would definitely be marked wrong. Here's another one. You could have said. So again here, when listening, it sounds fine, but when we see the writing, we realise there's a mistake. We need to take away that of and put have or apostrophe VE. You could have said, and now it's perfect. Now it's a correct sentence. The next one is thousands and hundreds. So on its own, they sound fine, but let's look at a sentence. 10,000s of people were there. So when we put this phrase in a sentence, we can see, we should say 10,000 people were there. Now, thousands exists, of course we can say thousands, but when we put a number before it, 10, 7, 20, 500, then we don't put an S after the thousand. And the same is with million, hundred, billion, trillion, etc. Look at these two sentences. Which one is correct? The country spent £100 million on public transport, or the country spent £100 million on public transport. Number 2 is correct. The country spent £100 million on public transport. Because we've got that 100 before, then we don't put an S on million. If we took away the 100 and we just said millions of pounds on public transport, then we can do that. And our last one, explain me versus explain to me. So here's a sentence. Can you explain me the situation? Here we need to put, can you explain to me the situation? Or even better, can you explain the situation to me? Which is a little bit more natural. So when we use the verb explain, we have to put to when we introduce who we're explaining it to. We can't take away that word with the verb explain. So here are two sentences. Which one is correct? Excuse me, can you explain the rule to us? Excuse me, can you explain us the rule? Here we need, can you explain the rule to us? We could also say, explain to us the rule, but it's not quite as natural. So again, every time with explain, we just have to put in that to, so now you know it. Right, that's it for today's lesson. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you learnt something. Now, choose one of those common mistakes and write me an example sentence in the comments below. Remember, if you would like to support my channel, then subscribe here and follow me on Instagram and TikTok, where you can have more daily video content to help you improve your English. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a lovely afternoon or evening or morning or day, whatever time it is where you are. Thanks, and I'll see you next time. Bye!